Do you want to know why I think this is the worst ride at the Magic Kingdom? Well, let me show you. Hey everybody, it's Mike from The Highs Do Disney. As you can tell, I'm not talking about Peter Pan's Flight. I'm talking about Tomorrowland Speedway. So this is an opening day attraction that opened with Disney in 1971. I just don't like this ride. I think it's been outdated since the beginning. It never has fit with Tomorrowland Speedway. I know there's a lot of you out there that are probably saying, like, it's a classic, you're ruining Disney. This is nostalgia, but it's never fit in. It's not futuristic. It's not Tomorrowland, which is supposed to be something in the future. I'm a big car buff. I'm a big technology guy. I enjoy the sound of engines and the smell of burnt fuel. I do. I have a car in the garage right now that I spent probably way too much money repairing because I enjoy working on cars. But Tomorrowland Speedway just puts me off. Like, I just don't even like being anywhere near it. I don't like hearing it. I feel bad when people have to go on it. I've ridden it a few times and it's just not an exciting ride. So first thing that really bothers me, and I've kind of touched at this already, they're gasoline-powered cars. If you're going to be in Tomorrowland, why do we have fossil fuel cars in Tomorrowland? Would tomorrow have fossil fuels? Probably not. A little bit archaic there. I mean, it's closer to the Flintstones than it is the Jetsons at this point. Why are we not moving to something newer? And then there's the body styling of these cars. Well, I love retro cars and cool body styles. These cars are 1970s style. They do not fit into modern technology or modern engineering principles. I feel like even from the start, they're already outdating themselves. I mean, let's do something different, guys. And then there's the horrible steering. You've driven these things around, and all you do is you bounce side to side to side, track to track to track. You can hold on to as tight as you can. You're still going to drift around. That's probably something to do with the mechanics underneath. I know these are very basic cars. Again, this is why I'm complaining about it. But this is a sea-level type attraction that Disney has placed in their parks, in their premier parks, that's been there since the beginning. These are the types of rides that you find at C and D level theme parks. Your local theme parks have these in their parks. It's time for Disney to get their act together and put something new in there. And there's a little boy running through the back here, and I'm going to leave that in there because it's hilarious. Disney, you need to get your act together. Bob Chapek, you've been given the reins. It's time to make a change here. Should we tear it down? Maybe. We already have Test Track, so it's a very, I wouldn't say similar style ride, but it takes into account technology and futuristic cars on a track. So it's kind of the same ride, but let's not tear it down. Let's make something different. Let me tell you what I think we should do. Retheme this. I'm going to call this my retheme Project 626. I'm talking to none other than everyone's favorite blue rescue dog, Stitch. He's an alien experiment created in space by some mad, crazy space alien scientist. He belongs in Tomorrowland. He's already been removed once from Tomorrowland, so let's bring him back. I know a lot of people didn't like Stitch's Great Escape. I thought it was great. It made me laugh. I enjoy Stitch probably a little bit too much. So let's redo it with Stitch. How do we retheme this to Stitch? Overall, we keep the course the same. The track layout stays the same. The basic entry points are all the same. So the ride isn't really being demolished and rebuilt to something new. We're kind of keeping the ride going along. So the overall theme, it's Stitch. Lilo and Stitch specifically, but probably more closely to Stitch. Where should this be located? We can't do Hawaii. Hawaii is too natural and too much like nature, so it would be kind of remove ourselves farther away from Tomorrowland itself. So let's take Stitch and put him on a distant planet. Let's retheme the whole entire track to some random distant planet, and we'll leave this up to the creators of the ride to put in their touches of what a future planet in Stitch's world would look like. We'll leave the track layout the same. Maybe we can theme it like Toro. That's the only planet that's actually referenced in Lilo and Stitch, and that's where the galactic headquarters is located. But I don't think Stitch will go back to the galactic headquarters based off of what's happened, so we'll just find something different and something maybe similar. We can use some of that architecture that they use based off of the very few pictures that we actually have of Toro. And so now we go. Now we have the place that we're located, the theme. It's a futuristic spaceport. So let's take Jamba's ship and place that in the same location as where the Tomorrowland Speedway entry is. And you kind of walk in and underneath it and around it, and maybe you can walk up into it, certain parts, So the spaceship is sitting there facing towards the launching pad. So there we go. We've kind of added a spaceship in there. It's futuristic. It's Tomorrowland. And then when you're on the ride, you can see Pleakley. We'll put Pleakley in there. We'll put him in the cockpit looking out over you. You can use kind of some screens to do it that way. And then we'll make all of our docking and loading bays look futuristic as well. We'll kind of leave them the same, kind of have like the same setup. So all we're doing is we're kind of adding a mask over what's already there and kind of updating it to something new. Let's make the loading dock area kind of like under a dome, kind of something similar to maybe what Tron is, so it kind of fits in with the theme of Tomorrowland. You're kind of like encapsulating the same kind of looks, but think of it as like you're in space, so it's a space bubble that you're going into because the planet you're on, you can't breathe the air. You know, it's fun. And then when you exit in the car, you're exiting the dome and you're actually going out onto the planet and taking a ride around the planet. We could add a whole bunch of cool things on your way around. We could add other characters. We could add just the looks, the aesthetic, whatever your imagining can go with. I think we have enough imagination here, and Disney has enough creativity to do stuff like this. And then when you come back to the end of the ride, you're entering back into the dome like you've had a nice experience in traveling around the planet. So now you have the pits. So let's retheme that to like a little makeshift workshop for Jumbo. Let's have a bunch of different vehicles in there that he's working on. Let's make some really cool animatronics. So I don't know if you've seen in Tokyo Disneyland with Belle and Felipe that's coming out, that animatronic is absolutely amazing. They're taking what would be a 2D cartoon animation and making it look like 3D life. It's absolutely fantastic. We could do the same thing with Jumbo and Stitch and put them in there as 3D animatronic characters working on different vehicles and, you know, being who they are, which is crazy mad people or mad aliens, really. And then let's take a turn and look at the engines of these cars. We don't need gasoline powered cars here. There are dozens upon dozens of companies that build electric motors for go-karts. Yes, it is a battery powered, so there's going to be some charging time. But I feel like if you had enough vehicles, you could easily just swap these vehicles out on a certain consistent basis to keep them fresh and charged. I don't know. Maybe there's a track system we can attach to it, sort of like what you had with a bumper car with a bar that stuck up into the ceiling that created a connection that gave them electricity so they could drive around as long as they wanted. Maybe something like that. Could be a little bit more dangerous, but I think technology is there to keep us safe. And that removes the smell and the noise from this location. And so it kind of quiets it down. And then you could even make all the vehicles have cool little spaceship sounds. I mean, that would be a lot more conducive to what Tomorrowland would represent, something more futuristic. And then we take the 1970s roadster bodies of these cars, rip them off, and let's place something on there really cool. So I don't know if you guys have seen Lilo and Stitch too. I hope you have. I've seen them all. I think I've watched them a dozen times over again. So there's a scene where Lilo asks Nani if she can borrow the hovercraft. Take a look here.
Take the hovercraft today, please?
You know I think it's too dangerous. Besides, someone may see you.
Please?
All right. You can take it if you can find it.
Yes!
I hit it so good this time, they're never...
Look at that ship. That hovercraft is the coolest little spaceship that you could build. It's perfect. It's a side-by-side, so you fit two people just like they do now. The body styling is great. It's futuristic. It looks like a futuristic hot rod, effectively. It's like taking these 70s cars and make them a spaceship is really what it is. And you can do them different colors. You can do a little bit different theming on them, but it would just create something more enjoyable, I think, for kids and adults to get on and not have to worry about that annoying noise and smell of riding these really awful cars. And then the final thing we have to fix is the steering. It's just basic linkage geometry, guys. I don't know how much you guys are into engineering and steering, but it's very simple. Like, just tighten it up. I want to be able to actually feel like I'm steering these cars, even though I'm kind of on a track. I don't want to have to bounce back and forth and have that thing rip out of my hands. I want my 4-year-old son, Josiah, as you saw running in the back, I want him to be able to do it as well. He doesn't like doing it half the time. He just lets it go because it rips it out of his hands when it bounces off the side. Is one of those things. So let's make it a little bit more fun there. I mean, these things are going to be looking like they're flying, so they're obviously going to have to be on wheels. So there's some logistics there, like where do we place the wheels? How does it work that way? I'm just thinking this is just a great way to start. So if you yourself have any ideas or you don't think we should change the ride at all, definitely leave a comment below. I'm definitely all about the future and moving forward in Disney and making these parks better and more enjoyable for everybody. But I know a lot of you are classic Disney fans and you don't want to have anything changed for your classic Disney. But if you want to change, leave a comment. If you don't want to change, also leave a comment. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. You know, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And with that, y'all have a wonderful day. Peace.